Guys, it's Lost in Plot, and today we're doing Thor, Love and Thunder.
That's right, it's the fourth one in the Thor franchise. So our plot for this one is Thor is trying to find himself, trying to figure out what he is now, what's missing in his life, when someone goes and steals all of the children from New Asgard and takes them away. And it is the God Butcher, Gorr, who is our new antagonist in the film, and he's got a grudge against gods, and he's trying to kill them. So the basic setup is Thor and Jane Foster, who returns, and Valkyrie and Korg have to go and save the kids and stop Gorr from killing gods.
That's the idea. The bigger idea is false advertising. You see, you might have paid your money to get a ticket to go see Thor, Love and Thunder, Thor, God of Thunder versus the God Butcher, Gorr, but that's not really the story that the film's interested in telling you. Instead, it wants to tell you basically me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, only insert Thor into it. And if you think that'd be a good idea for Thor in full regalia to be consulting with an oncologist, then this movie's probably the one for you.
Yeah, and what you're referring to is the condition of Jane Foster. And the big question is, well, how does she become the new Thor? She's got the armor, she's got the helmet piece, she's got the hammer. And it's told in a backstory that she's suffering from cancer, and that's when the hammer, or the pieces of it, because it's been smashed to bits in one of the prior Thor movies, is calling out to her because it can restore her health.
Not only that, but the hammer just completely fixes itself on its own.
Well, that too, by necessity.
Yeah, I mean, the frustrating part for me was that a lot of this movie is a relationship, an interpersonal conflict between Thor and Jane Foster, where you have Thor, who is pining for his ex-girlfriend, who's pretty much just done with him. She broke off the relationship, she's not interested in him anymore, and now we have to watch Thor, God of Thunder, pine after his ex-girlfriend who wants nothing to do with him. Now, I don't really plunk down my money to go see that type of a story when I go see a superhero film.
No, and I don't know, this was rough. This was very underwhelming for me. I did not have a good time watching this, where I really did like Thor Ragnarok. And I had the expectation that because everybody was back, including Taika Waititi, I think his name is, something along those lines. He directed Thor Ragnarok, and he's back co-writing and directing this one as well. And the biggest problem that I had with this one was the directing and the writing.
Yeah, count me in, too, as someone who really believes that this film exposed Taika Waititi, somebody I had a lot of confidence in and thought he was very talented. Not after watching this movie.
Not in this.
Very much shaken my confidence. He's the sole creative voice behind this engine, and this did not play out at all.
And what he did with Thor Ragnarok was infuse a lot of humor into that one, and he tries to do the same here. But for me, almost none of the jokes are landing. Maybe 1/3, and that could be generous. It wasn't landing for me. How your mileage goes with some of the juvenile humor, screaming goats and things like that. If you think that's hysterical, then maybe you'll enjoy it. But for me, the humor was not there. It was not landing.
Yeah, I agree. Thor Ragnarok was probably my favorite of the Marvel movies, and in that one, the humor was light, it was breezy, it was effective, it really worked. In this one, it is a total miss. I think 33% is probably a generous percentage for what they hit on. Yeah. And for the best parts of the film have to do with your antagonist. The best part of the movie is the first 5 minutes. You don't get anything better than what you get in the first 5 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes, where they establish Gorr, and then they resolve Gorr. That's the best part of your movie. The problem is everything in between is so hollowed out and doesn't have anything to do with him. Christian Bale is totally wasted. They don't give him enough screen time at all, or flesh out the conflict between him and Thor in a meaningful and interesting way.
And at the same time, Christian Bale, for me, he walks away with the movie. He's the only interesting character. His storyline, his performance, he just walks away with it. He outclasses his co-stars. He outclasses everybody in this production just by being there,
including the director. Including the director. Yeah. Like, he's too good for the material. And it's sad because the film does away with him. It makes him a passive antagonist who doesn't really do anything to push the conflict. Instead, he sets a trap and sits on his ass until the third act when they need him in order to resolve the story. So instead, you're given this really bizarre segment in Omnipotent City with all the gods that none of it wasn't funny, it wasn't interesting. All the fight scenes in the entire movie were lazy as all get out.
Yeah, I agree. That was another thing, is I thought this was probably the worst fight scenes, the worst action scenes in any Marvel movie that I've seen. They were CGI mobs, underwhelming.
Yeah, CGI mobs, they could just get smashed to bits.
And no emotion behind them. You couldn't even bring yourself to care. I didn't care about anything except for Christian Bale's character and his story arc. He was fantastic. He walks all over everybody in this film. But like you said, they minimize him so much, whereas he could have been an interesting, more compelling character and done more for the film. He's kind of kept on the sidelines, but he's awesome as the villain here. And my God, I was so bored with the rest of it, I kept looking at his performance and thinking, how cool would it be? Forget about Barry Keoghan for the Batman sequel. Why not bring Christian Bale back and have him play the Joker? How interesting would that be? His performance here as Gore, that's what I was thinking about most of the time, instead of the strained relationship between Thor and Jane Foster and the Valkyrie character, who had no business being in the film that I could tell, other than, rumors are she's in three ways with the director.
Yeah, they couldn't come up with a good enough reason to get her stuffed into the film. And really, the character of Korg was just as big of a waste, too.
Who is voiced by the director.
Yeah, that was basically his excuse to get himself
on screen
as much as they wanted.
Yeah, I hated that character as well. So, not fun, massively underwhelming. Where did you leave Thor, Love and Thunder?
Big disappointment for me, because this is one of those movies that I was really actually kind of looking forward to. I thought if there was a shot in the arm for the MCU, maybe this would be the one with this director, with Thor. They'd rekindle that magic that they had at Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. They did not. This is a 4 out of 10. It is dead. It's a pretty big disappointment.
Yeah, I had it the same, dead for me as well, at a 4 out of 10. Underwhelming is the big word I keep coming back to. So underwhelming, because I had higher expectations. I thought this director, who they've given so much clout and power to, he's doing another Star Wars movie. They've got him on board for that next. He ends up, instead of where he was your biggest asset in the last one, Ragnarok, he ends up being a massive liability here. And maybe that's because he's not creatively checked or kept in place. Maybe it's because he had a bigger hand in writing the script, which is just not good. Just a bad script for me. But that's where we end up with Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yeah, there it is, guys. If you've seen it and you have thoughts, please leave them in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe. Check us out on Twitter. We'll see you all on the next one.